Give it a minute, make sure that everything is up. Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Samuel Lombardo, the Executive Director, CEO, agent of SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC. You can follow us on YouTube at SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC. Hello, Renee. How are you? So we will, you can follow us on YouTube at SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC. That is the gold icon with the red ring around it. Please subscribe there as well. Also please support our Patreon account, which is for our community stars programs, and that is at patreon.com/SLMTA. And we also have a sponsorship website. Our regular website is www.slmta-agency.com. But right now, our website, at least our front page anyway, is being tweaked for the contest that we have, which I'm going to put in the contents here on Instagram later. I'm still working on the actual contents for Instagram so that Instagram can be illustrated with all the rest of the platforms that I have, because I'm on Speaker, which has like 30 platforms, and I got like 35 video platforms that I'm on live as well. So a lot is happening at one time, and for some odd reason, Instagram, y'all get the last piece of it, which you're still able to see me, but you're not going to be able to see the share screen, what I'm going to be doing a little bit later. We have a very important topic tonight, but I think you'll also enjoy it. It is some other things that we need to discuss, but as I promised, and unfortunately, again, Instagram, you may not be able to see it unless you can follow me, just Lombardo J. Samuel on Facebook, add me there, and then you can be able to see what's happening on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and etc. But I'm going to share the screen because I want to show you the actual contacts that we have. Because I'm not kidding when I say that I have contacts. And so I'm only gonna breeze through it. So I'm excited to share this. And if it wasn't for Sunny, unfortunately, I wouldn't even had these listed. Right now, I'm compiling a whole entire gallery of these contacts that would be in alphabetical order. So that way, then I could just be like, okay, email this, email that, and everything would be precisely in that order. So let me pull this up. And most of what you're going to be seeing is related to either media or let me make sure that I have this. Media or like independent artists, contacts, things like that. But it's going to give you an idea. I can't show everything. I just, I want to make it very, very clear that for those that are out there that are saying otherwise. And yeah, maybe I am validating a little bit, but at the same time, it's always good to know different contacts anyway. So this one actually happens to be more along the way of viral, everything going viral. So this could be like magazine contacts, this could be news media contacts, this could be many different things, okay? And you could just see line after line, Facebook information, etc. Like I said, she did a pretty good, precise job with this. But you got to know how to talk to these people. You have to know what you're going to say, which was like last night's conversation a little bit, but I'm going to dive more into that tomorrow. Tonight's is a very, very important topic. But look at this. I mean, page after page after page of just constant contacts. No pun intended, you know, I'm trying to give the email thing away here, but just page after page of constant contact. Look at this. UK. Hold up. Let me back that up. Look at that. Certified UK. Okay. Several places in various countries, things for children. You know, I mean, this is crazy if it's not right. I mean, and again, I'm just going right down the list. I'm not even like, you know, because this is not for everybody to actually see anyway, but I'm letting you know that I have contacts and that I'm able to submit and do what I need to do. I mean, look at this. It just keeps on going. And I'm only on page, it doesn't even say, like, what page am I on? I have no idea because I'm not even close to halfway down. The cursor right here on the side is only at the top still. I mean, I must have been through 20. Here we are, page 46 of 589 pages. Look at that. And it just keeps on rocking and rolling. Wow. It just keeps going and going and going. And like I said, I want to thank the young lady that actually put this together. And, you know, it wasn't that costly, but it really helped me to just go ahead and it helped me to go ahead and get into these constant contacts and let them know that we actually exist. I mean, have a good time trying to figure out, okay, from every one of these people, if whether or not they know me. Because there's a lot here, okay? And to be very honest, I should actually communicate that. Now, unfortunately, you guys on Instagram do not see this at all. You're gonna have to follow me on YouTube if you want to see what I'm doing here. I mean, it just keeps going. Look at this. It just keeps going. Paris, France. I mean, look at this. Festivals. It just keeps on. I'm just like stopping every so often. The staff member that you want to talk to, the email, it just keeps on rocking and rolling. It keeps going and going and going. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that. So that's that. And then the things related to like being discovered. Here are those, like news medias, etc. Big Crown, brash music, Hadinium music. I mean, it just, everything is very precise listed. Let me see, I think I even saw Epidemic, Epic Records. I mean, this is like, This is crazy. And this is just page 23 of 261 pages. I'm not kidding when I say I had over 1,000 pages worth of contacts. I mean, this, and it keeps on going and going and hello to you, Jason. How are you? By the way, if you're wondering what you're looking at, you are looking at the CEO of SL Models and Talent Agency right now in the home office. We exist in Michigan, but I am here at the home office, getting things prepared for the Southeast regional offices. So that's where I'm at. And right now, you are about to see a video tonight of me describing why we should be unionized. Oh, I hope that you are having a great day. We are about to start a very good show tonight. So I wanted to bring this to your attention, that these contacts are real and that they are meaningful. Here's another 165 pages of different like law firms. If you need help with like the law firms or production, if you know how to brand your music, what to brand it with, where to brand it, how you can get on social medias and stuff, but also like being able to show up on the news medias as well, different things like that. And I actually show you how to do that. I want to compile something like that and actually develop a entertainment book that will actually describe to you the different things that you can do so that you can be seen. But that's what this all is that you're looking at very, very quickly as I'm scrolling down. Okay, so that is that part of it. Now, I'm gonna stop the share right now because I want to introduce why I'm here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and dive into our conversation for tonight. Because it's gonna be a very, very long one. It's one that I am going to be stepping on toes. And it is going to be something that is going to be necessary for a lot of people that would agree about this. There has been polls, and I mean poll after poll that I have set up. There are people that have went to college with me that are actually going through these experiences. I have been researching these experiences all through my arts administration college career. I have been speaking with people, and I had people lying to my face as they're actually doing it, and I would play stupid doing it as well. So this is going to be a very powerful, but very, very interesting message tonight. And I'm going to be very loud and clear, very precise. See, SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC, we are also, we have a vision of what the entertainment industry is, while at the same time, there are those who are like so fearful. I'm going to tell you that right now. They're so fearful that they're actually trying to deny the fact that it's easier to call me bluff than to them to actually just say, oh, I'm the problem. So I'm here to actually prove to you tonight that this is not bluff and that something should be done about it. And the biggest problem that I have is, why is the union accepting this kind of behavior? I hope you're hearing me tonight. I hope you are hearing me tonight. Why is the unions accepting this kind of behavior in the industry? You're so worried about whether an agency is legit, but yet the actions are so illegit. Yes, my energy is piped up tonight because I'm one that will fight for the innocents. Who can force someone to do specific things? Where is the creation in this? How can someone tell me how I should create something and then force me to do things that I do not want to do? You hearing me? Now, some of you might be like so enjoying it. Okay, I get that. All right, that's you, that's your life, that's fine. But there are a lot of people that do not enjoy it. And because they bring it up, it's like they get cut out of the industry. Why? Because they don't want to push your body on yours. Look, I'm not afraid to say it like it is. I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm going to preach it tonight, folks. But first, before I do that, I need to actually share my screen and read an article that has a lot of the proofs. I want you to hear this very carefully. Let me open this up first, though. Let me bring it to the article. And this is coming right out of the Hollywood and Broadway opinion. It's coming right out of NBCnews.com. So it is a reputable, excuse me, I gotta calm myself down, hold on. It is a reputable source that has some real information. You got something to say about it, then go to NBCnews.com and say something about it. But I'm here to tell you that things need to change. So I'm not here to reinvent, no. I am here to invent what creativity is, because that is what the entertainment industry was derived from, not sex toys. Are you hearing me? All right, now here we go. I'm so bad. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Okay, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and read this article together. Let's look at how these folks really made it to the top. Are you ready? Look at this. All right. And this is written on April 30th, 2021, 4:30 a.m. EDT. And it's by Kelly Hartong, journalist, editor, and book coach. Look her up, see how reputable she is. If you don't question me on it, I'm going to read the article. So when I heard that American film, television, and theater producer Scott Rudin had resigned from the Broadway League over the weekend, something seismic shifted in me, excuse me. I started with a powerful note, and boy, hurling me back to a time and place when I found myself in the clutches of my own Scott Rudin. Granted, it was on a different continent in a different decade, but unfortunately, Scott Rudin's of the world defied time and space. Every exercise, every class, every interaction with the faculty was designed to traumatize us and cripple us with self-doubt. Ooh, where is that comment coming from? Let's read on. Let's see. Though I had been following the Rudin controversy over the past couple of weeks, when artists and former employees began to level allegations of abuse and unhinged behavior going back years, It wasn't until I read a line by Los Angeles Times theater critic Charles McNulty when Rudin announced that he was stepping back from Broadway, that I connected the dots with my own acting training. Quote unquote, there are so many theater people who have been trained to believe that they have to put up with this behavior because this is a sacrifice they must make for art, unquote. Now, I'm here to tell you that right now. I don't believe that misbehavior of any sort should be anything that puts someone into art. If it isn't creative, then it's not art. So here we go. We got to go back to the semantics. All right. Of course, we hear a lot about illusionary art, right? Well, you know, it's illusionary art. Yeah, that doesn't give you the reason to go and do certain behavior because it's illusionary art. That just means that the illusionary art, the illusion of something happening, but that doesn't mean that you're going to do other things. Now, I got to keep this PG rated because I don't want to be censored. But the reality is that there is behavior that is not good in the industry. And all that I'm basically going to be stressing tonight, and yes, I'm going to be stressing it out very well, and I'm going to be stepping on some toes. This isn't a jealous game, folks. I'm not here on a jealous game. I'm here to find out for the truth. How many real actual celebrities out there are going through this BS that they have to align with something that they don't or not feeling comfortable with, where they have to do it? And that is the issue. And that kind of almost makes me want to analyze it even more deeper. Like, why are there actual specific scenes? Why is there an actual rated R? I mean, now I'm not saying that to be like judgmental, but at the same time, there may be some that know how to do stunts, so they're aligned to it. Remember, you got to understand what I'm talking about here by looking at last night's video. Okay, but some folks are not aligned to do stunts, so probably being in a video where there are a bunch of scenes that make you hop fences or jump off of roofs or whatever the case may be, may not be for that specific person, right? But at the same time, we're not even talking about that. It gets sick. It's not even about that. I'm going to go right on through with this article, and then I let the article speak for itself. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my mumbo jumbo into it. He then described how performing arts instruction has sometimes prided itself on breaking down an actor's ego or a dancer's body, even though, quote unquote, cruelty isn't the path to excellence, and opportunities to work with the best shouldn't entail putting up with the worst, unquote. But that was exactly the message I was browbeat with when I decided to pursue high-level training in acting. I was 18 and fresh out of high school in Sydney, Australia. I was thrilled to be one of just 24 students who had snagged a spot at the drama studio, a 3-year full-time acting course. The school was conceived and run by graduates of the prestigious Drama Centre in London, using its unique, let me move this down just a little bit. Using its unique techniques over the years, the Drama Centre has boasted graduates like Colin Firth and Paul Bettany and Amelia Clark and breakout, quote unquote, Bridgerton star Reggie Jean Page. I was proud to be the youngest person ever accepted into the drama studio, something that during my time there would be welded against me like a weapon. It was just one of the main tools the school used to groom me and the other students for abuse. The Drama Center ran for 57 years. Wow, how about that? It was like a 57 years worth of this. Before it shut its doors last year, I want to stop right here for a minute because Spirit has actually spoken to me. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for this. Let me tell you the trick that God has about COVID-19. And unfortunately, tonight, you're going to be hearing nothing but like it is, because that's what it's going to be tonight. But basically, if you're not aligned, it's not accepted, things are going to shut down. God is going to say, the end, put it on, it's over, okay? Stop trying to make things up or stop trying to move things on. It's not aligned to you, then cut it, right? And of course, that would have been the message before the pandemic. At this point, God is basically just saying it like it is. Whether you're 57 years into it, 70 years into it, 90 years into it, or if you were forever into it, the doors will shut. Because God says it is finished. Whatever that was, it is finished. And most of the time, it usually has a lot to do with it because, again, I research, I dig deep. I practically audit my way into things to know whether or not the real reason behind closing, not just, oh my God, really 57 years? Oh my goodness. So after 57 years and that whole thing just went kaput? No. I'm going to tell you in this article in a minute what caused that thing to shut down 57 years. Okay? But if you have a business, whether it's small or large, and you are sitting there trying to defy the reasons of God, I'm here to tell you that no matter how far we get into it, even if it takes 57 years for it to happen, God has a plan other than what you think it may be. And yes, I'm very respectful to God, to Spirit, whatever that, however you feel, all right, and however you worship or what have you is your own belief. But for me, I have respect for that, and the conditions for creativity should be followed by the creativity of what God has put us, because we are made in his image. Okay. So without further ado, let's continue on with the article. It closed following the death of a student and myriad negative claims, among them that its courses pushed students to the edge, off quote. Not for nothing was it nicknamed the Drama Center. Oh, wow. Isn't that something? So the drama center turned into the trauma center, okay? The drama studio folded much earlier, but it had the same modus operandi. Every exercise, every class, every interaction with the faculty was designed to traumatize us and cripple us with self-doubt. Now, let me just substitute that and just say it point blank what it means. It means that the staff members were just trying to force control on the people. Now, I'm going to be speaking to universities, schools. I'm going to be speaking to other drama centers. I'm going to be speaking to training agencies. I'm going to be speaking to even church affiliates. If you have the inclination that you are wanting to control someone, then I would say you initialize the control for yourself. Now, with that being said, that may actually mean that by the time you get through with self-controlment, you might find out that without control is the only reason why you were there to begin with, and therefore it was never aligned. Okay, on our first day, we were informed, quote unquote, we are here to break you down and see if you can survive. Wow. I probably would not want to go to it. Oh my goodness, I would not want to go to that. That would not be a school I would want to go. Listen to this, going further. Breaking us down was both subtle and not so subtle. At the end of every term, we were given assessments, which we called, I love it, no pun intended, character assassination. Not character development, character assassination. Oh, wow. We'd be forced to sit on a chair in the middle of the rehearsal room while the faculty sat at a table across from us and proceeded to tear each of us to shreds. Some of my assessments consisted of things such as, quote unquote, Kelly, you know what your problem is? And now that's a rhetorical question. And you're too, nice, off quote. My 18-year-old brain didn't know how to process being nice as a negative. Other things thrown at me included, excuse me for that, sexually laced questions. Are you this? And of course she says yes. Do you have a boyfriend? No. Do you do certain things with it? Well, I mean, go answer, see to answer the question too. All right, continuing on. It never entered my head to tell them it was none of their business. And it soon became clear that losing myself was one of their top priorities. So that I could be a quote unquote real actress, whatever that's supposed to mean, Other students had their own horror stories as well. One was called, quote unquote, dead from the neck down. Another was asked why they always had a poker up their behind. And then we go to the pub after these assessments and laugh when on the inside we were all deeply traumatized by the comments. Hello to you, TK Fox, how are you? We are having a very, very important discussion tonight. Why the entertainment industry should be fully and literally unionized, not just the way that it is now, but that there are people that are very important in the industry and they are forcing their own way of what creativity is without allowing creativity to make of that person. So that's what our discussion is for tonight. It soon became clear, oh, never mind, that was just a bulleted, I'm not going to read that again. As our bodies began to fall apart because of the enormous strain of endless movement, dance, and mime classes, combined with long days of rigorous acting training that tested our emotional and psychological limits, we were felled by flus and back spasms and broken limbs. In response, we were told to, quote unquote, toughen up, that we were disintegrating physically because we weren't strong enough psychologically. So I love this, and this is going to be another thing we're going to talk about tonight as well. How people can go ahead and try to blame mentality on what their physicality is, even though that half the things that they are being told to do are physical, not mental. It is what happens after the fact and the comments that stretch out after that. Again, this is a respected source that I'm reading from. This is not baloney. And by the way, this is only the beginning. It gets even better here toward the end. This is the main reason why I'm actually upset. And the reason I'm actually reading it is because Instagram doesn't have the shared screen. Otherwise, I would have just scrolled through it and just explained it. So I have to read it word for word. Okay, moving on. But how could we be in a profession that demands intense vulnerability, requiring you to access your deepest fears and emotions? We were being pushed to the breaking point. Now, I will be very honest with you guys. Some of this might sound to some of you like it's petty, what I'm reading here. And it may be actually true to a certain degree. But it gets ugly toward the end of this, and we're almost to the end of this. That explains everything about what was really going on, which is the main reason behind why I was upset. And there are a lot of people that could back this thing up that I've already done polls for. When we are developing our union that I'm forming. But it isn't just a union to go and say, hey, let's celebrate and you become a member and you'll be good. No, it's a union to unionize what it is, not not to force behaviors, especially not in this scenario that I'm seeing. And that's why I've mentioned that ANPA has audits and everything else. If a company is if we're being told by a union member that they are actually being abused, we will go in there and audit, even if it means that they, in fact, we're almost wondering if we should actually say that there should be security cameras. I mean, it's getting to be that bad because, well, let me just finish reading this. I want you to just take a listen to this piece right here. And kids, hide your ears for a minute. And we were just kids. The average age of the class was 24, and we had no guardrails or boundaries. I remember vividly one of the girls doing an improvised love scene with a male partner that led to his getting completely naked, which wasn't necessary for the scene. It was clear she was uncomfortable, yet no one intervened. It stopped only when she finally screamed, quote unquote, I can't do that. So ran out of the class in hysterics. All we got was a lecture about not breaking a scene. Hold on. There you go. There's a little bit there for you. We were told our classmates weren't our friends, that they were going to be our competition in the real world. I mean, the piece about being a competition, there is some truth to that, but no one can control who's going to ultimately be someone's friend or not. And no one can control who loves who either. And we would better be willing to stomp on them to get what we wanted. When it came to the carrot and stick approach, there was simply no carrot ever. I, along with several others, didn't survive the 3 years. Over the semester break in my second year, my father passed away at the age of 46 when I returned to school and told them the news. I also felt it necessary to add, quote unquote, but it won't affect my work. And they just nodded and said, okay, as if the greatest trauma of a 19-year-old's young life was a minor inconvenience to be brushed aside. It became their new mission to have me use my father's death in my acting, but all it succeeded in doing was to shut me down. I couldn't act my way out of a wet paper bag. That in turn led to what would become an 18-month battle with I know I'm going to mess this word up, anorexia. When it came to my end of year assessment, I was informed that the school couldn't be responsible for my dramatic weight loss or my other mental health issues. And it cut me loose. It was probably the only responsible thing they ever did, beat indirectly. I wish my experience there were unique, but it wasn't. I've heard similar stories at other drama schools, and the drama center's closing last year is proof that grooming young performers through psychological abuse is deeply ingrained in the profession. It's not enough for Rudin to resign or for other theater tyrants to be exposed and ousted case by case until the entertainment industry as a whole stops its pathological abuse and brutality toward those aspiring to join it and finds a healthy way to train and nurture talent. The Scott Rudins of the world will continue to thrive. While I can't go back in time and give 18-year-old me a voice, I do have one today. And I'm using it to urge young, impressionable acting students to stand up to any wannabe Rudin that's waiting in the wings. Now, let me just sum all this up in very good simplicity. If the purpose of your training is to go and control another person with hidden intentions that would only satisfy your well-being and it's not aligned to the other person, you have to think twice. Do not just assume that it is the other person's fault for not wanting to do something when there are real things going on like this. Now, this gives me a chance to actually actively talk about SL models and talent agency. We have a program we have different programs within the Community Stars program that you could apply for. And a lot of our training allows for creativity. So there are some that may not be actors, but they are script writers. We do have regulations as well that even with the actors, like we stick with a script, and I actually do this even with my own training when I do basic training. All right, and I've done this with Malik. Where I would let them read the monologue as if they were just reading as a storybook, like blah, 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 right? And then I would ask them the questions. What do you think the character in this is? Are you able to pull that character off? See, the way I look at it when it comes to training, just because a client is looking for someone who can always be argumentative and is like the bully of the club or whatever, does not necessarily mean that you could just go throw any old person in there. So what do you do to solve the problem? Well, SOMTA actually created a scenario that gets rid of that problem. And it is simply, and actually there are other agencies that are doing this too. We just happen to have an educational program built into the agency because we do care about who is with us in the agency, especially dreamers, like the young folks that either getting out of college or making a decision to go to college or is just wanting to be in the acting career, period. And you have to forgive me a moment because I have a numbness right here. So I'm kind of feeling a little bit odd, if that makes sense. Okay. So in any case, SLMTA actually cares about our students, whether they're under 18 or above 18 or even seniors, okay? And we have a program that fits everybody. And the biggest thing that we look at is the niche of the person, not just finding any old thing. If a person cannot act angrily, I'm not going to force them to say, do this scene and go and do it, right? But at the same time, that's only a piece of what this article is actually sharing. The problem that's really being faced with is the abuses within all this. So control is one problem, harassment's a whole nother problem. And then you got to deal with the fact of them actually mocking who you are and wouldn't even care if you left. To be honest, last night I was thinking about this very hard when I found this article. And I know that I was making a lot of changes relative to the American National Guild of Performing and Fine Arts with, the union that I'm forming. But I feel as if we're going to need to really actually add signatories and have to stipulate how training agencies or drama schools and all that are functioning with their students, and that there is no misconduct that is happening with that. Because it doesn't make sense to be sitting there allowing this kind of abusive behavior to continue on and then say that that is what the real actor is. Because a real actor, that's not what a real actor is. So in other words, you're going to try to tell them that, let's put it to you this way. What I'm seeing in that article is that this girl is being told that if you do this, this, and this, and you stick it out, you're a real true actor. No, actually, a true actor is someone that is creative enough to develop the character that is being shown to do what it needs to do in that particular time or that script. It don't have nothing to do with the fact that you're going to traumatize, control, mentally manipulate, and do all these fun and dandy retreats of character development. Because that's not how you develop character. In fact, I'm going to do another video that is just going to be about character development for actors, so that if they want to learn something on their freelance, then they can. Because to sit there and spend thousands of dollars in drama schools just to be mentally manipulated, abused, and or controlled is wicked. It's dangerous. And if that is what you're doing, then it is not something that is actually really acceptable. And that even goes for, I have to pick on some of the film producers, because there are articles out there that I hear about where there are certain scenes where people don't want to do specific things, and then they want to go and make it look as if that person doesn't know how to act because they wasted the money. Well, guess what? That's not how you do things either. You should be able to know what scenes or who it is. I almost believe that you may have to do open calls to really know if the person is actually going to. That's why I say a successful film producer should be planning at least 6 months ahead of schedule, because you're gonna get all kinds of funny things happening. Now, this is a real situation that is happening, but I've also know that there are inappropriate behaviors that happen, not because of the scenes that request it, but what happens either during a scene that the scene doesn't need to be that way, all kinds of certain things, or, you know, and what I find out is that there's a mixed mentality out here too. Because while certain people are complaining about all this abusive behavior and all this stuff that's happening, there's all these action movies, all these love scene movies and everything else that are popping up, okay? And it's almost as if they would go and see it again and again and again and again, unless it was somebody that was ugly and they're like, oh my God, I don't know how they even got in there. And then they're probably making a big distinct over it. I mean, the truth of the matter is that when we are writing about things, we need to be sure that we are focusing in the whole picture. And the way I see it is, the whole picture would be simply not being controllable, not harassing, you know, and not mentally manipulating individuals to do things, like using different manipulative methods to do certain things for your intended purpose. And I believe that this is going to be a major issue, because while there are some of us that are doing right, there are those who are going to be using these types of articles as their excuse for not being able to move forward, because everybody's going to be a Scott Rudin. That's going to be a new mentality. So I want to encourage, while I'm even speaking about this, so I want to encourage that not everybody has this situation. And you're going to have to know the difference between what's controlling and what is not. And usually it could be done by how you see specific things set up. Like in the Community Stars programs, you will see that we are asking for specific things, and that we are very specific about what the program will do. So in that case, everything should be aligned to how the program is, but there is no hidden agenda There should not be. No hidden agenda in there. Even the syllabus that I created for some of the courses that I would be teaching to some of the adults of the industry that are new faces in the industry does require a lot of work, but we're still, it's still paced at their own time. So as long as they're able to fit it in and be able to do it, then everything would be fine. But it's typically not going to do anything that someone doesn't want to do. And that they're probably going to expect who want to read a book to study, because they're going to want to know what the different types of entertainment law is and different things to that sort. So I feel as if, you know, as far as SLMTA is concerned, our programs are pretty open to anyone that is willing to actually learn, especially if they need actual character development. You would have to wait till tomorrow night to know what that is, because I'm going to actually talk on that subject. In fact, I might do a primetime show on that because it's important. But character development is what is needed, because it needs to show that you are creative. It's hard to show that you are creative when an agency would use you as a puppet. Does that make sense? In other words, you pull this string, okay, I'm gonna do this. Okay, I'm gonna listen to you. You're saying that you're gonna go left, you're gonna go left. Well, what if you go left right into off the cliff? Right? Now, there are some agencies that know how to do directions like that, and they're not going to make you go off a cliff, but they have a precise way of instructing you to develop your character, to develop who you are, what you want to do. All right. I was told right up front from Malik that Malik likes action and he likes scary and he loves passion. So I already know that in the character development, the best way to go about that is to develop him in understanding what it is to be scared, when you want to be scared, when you don't want to be scared, and what happens if something happens to you. Because at that point, you can't be scared. If something happens to you, it's done, right? Like any other scary movie. Unless you're still scared and you're running, you know? But there are some that are going to sit there and say, oh, roll on your knees until they bleed. Roll on your knees and crawl on your head and spin around a few times and twist and turn and jump over bars and everything else. I mean, now it comes to a point where sometimes you can improvise. I've been there and done that already, where there was a person that did not know how to jump fences or nothing. So then they ran in the woods. Well, you know what? I never told them, well, be careful if a stump pops out. No, so what happened? The stump pops out. We would just end up editing the video to make that where the scene is, that's how he got caught. Why? Because if he's gonna fall there and then not be able to move, it's still the same thing as if he would have just ran a few more minutes longer and do the same thing by acting. I mean, I'm just giving a few examples. I'm not saying that everything is done this way, but that was one example that I had where you can allow improvisation to work. In fact, improvisation equals the inclination of creativity because you're allowing them to be creative as long, of course, as it's fitting in the scene, you know, fitting into the script, if you will. So there are certain things on set that you have to understand that you have to do. It's when they start taking the abusiveness, the harassment, the control, bad favors and things like that, and making that part of the scene when in reality, it's just really exciting the person or persons that are involved behind the camera. Now, for the students, does that mean that I'm telling you do not listen to your peers? No. You always want to listen to your peers and you want to pay attention to what is happening on set. But if there is something that is uncomfortable and that is apparent, then one or two things have to happen. Either you have to tell them that you're uncomfortable, that that's not going to fit, or whatever the case may be. Now, I have actually been told that some folks that have actually been abused, and again, I'm not telling you what it is because I got to keep it PG-13, but you could probably know what I'm talking about. So there are some folks that legitimately are being abused. And when they go and say something about it, then them with the other 50 other film producers or magazine shooters or whoever are going back, talking back and forth to each other about this one person because of something that they actually did, when in reality, the only one with a red flag should have been that one producer that was allowing him or herself to do what they were doing. But it has crushed the innocent person's dreams of becoming an actor because they have control. So if they can't control you that way, then they're like, well, then we don't need you. And then they start talking among everybody. I know all this stuff. I'm not that stupid. I've been here long enough to know this, and I overhear a lot of garbage, believe me. But that's the thing. I don't entertain garbage. So if something is going to happen like that, even like right now as I'm speaking, and things are being overheard, because things come back to me. Oh, that person doesn't understand what the industry is about. I don't think we could, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? I know pretty much about the industry, but I will tell you one thing, because I cannot control what's going to happen behind me. The only thing that I can control is what I see in front of me. And as far as I have to say is it's going to be figured out. It'll be figured out. Just like 57 years. and then they ended up shutting down. You think that God cannot shut down something that's been around for 100 years? I'm not here to make promises on anything, but I will tell you that I'm a firm believer of God. Uh, thank you very much there, Giovanni. Yes, I wanted to share that article because that article brings up a lot of information about what's really going on. And there are people out there, it's like they have to be fired before they actually can bring out the truth of what happened with the industry. Or they fear losing their job in the industry because they brought it up. So I'm actually an agency that respects the fact that everybody has their own priority of what their character development is. And character development cannot be forced. It cannot. Now, there is a difference between acting and all that, but that's not actually character development. That's that is more or less a development of the actor, of them being able to know what they are actually doing in the scene, but not having control that is what they are in their life. However, what I've noticed on a psychological level is you would be better off probably dealing with people that actually know how to hop fences than to deal with someone that doesn't and forcing them to do it. I mean, it's been that simple, right? So, and it gets very nasty. Like I've heard the horror stories related to models and how some of them are being asked to be paid other types of jobs. For example, I've heard about this one where it's like a housewife type of thing, couching around or whatever. I don't know how you want to explain it. All kinds of stories that I've been hearing about that are actual, like real stories of. And the problem is that the world, probably until now, was allowing this garbage to happen. And I'm hoping now that things will start to change. Because to be very honest, now I'm not going to step on their toes because I do respect them. But at the same time, I want to encourage them on something. I know exactly the history of Hollywood and where it derives from. And to be very honest, even the origin of music, for that matter. Okay. And the thing is that I believe we just started, well, as time went on. If you notice, like the shows like I Love Lucy, just was so boring, right? Because it's like, well, I wanted to see like what would have been the scene if it was cut out or whatever. Well, what's so boring about that, right? But yet they are the top actors of that time because they knew what they were doing. That was them. They could act it. So while it looked real, It was an act on television because that's who they were or what they were doing. Now it's like, I gotta learn how to do a stunt. Come on, folks. I'm actually being real here. Some of us actually go really crazy, and it's like, well, we're going to teach you how to do stunts. It's $4,000. Come on, I'll teach you everything. Let me tell you something. If you can't throw a football, you can't throw a baseball, and you're only doing strikeouts, then it's probably not meant for you to begin with. That's how I look at it. I mean, I'm being straightforward and to the point, telling it like it is, because you cannot pretend to do something that you don't do. You know, like, yeah, I'm gonna sit there. I'm going to sing a low C for you. I'm gonna show you what it sounds like. You ready? It sounds like I'm burping on the screen. That's what it really sounds like. That's a low C. I cannot. Like, never mind. I'm done with that. The point that I'm getting at is if I needed to learn, if I needed to act like I was burping after just drinking, watch. Like, okay. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Because I know that I could do that. You ask me to throw a baseball, I'm going to tell you I can't even beat myself out of a wet paper bag. So, but does that mean that I suck because I can't throw a baseball? I can't hop a fence? So I don't know how to jump 4 feet into the air? No, somebody knows how to do that. Don't get me wrong. That's why you got acrobats and all this stuff. I mean, you know, come on now. You're talking about you want a higher experience or whatever. You get the real experience. You know, seriously. Like another good example, because I could put this one on. Say you're looking for a teacher. I could be a teacher. It doesn't even take me much to actually act like one. I could be one. But if I had to act like one, I'll do it. You have a scene where you need someone to teach something? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you know, I'll read the script. If it's about math, I have to memorize it a few times because I suck at math. Well, not all the way. Like, and the only reason that I actually suck at it is because while I do algebra without realizing it, when I actually have to do it, I don't want to pay attention to it. That's just how I am. What are you going to do? Control that? You're going to tell me you're going to roll on your knees until you bleed? I'll tell you to go roll on your chair until you bleed. You ain't going to tell me that I'm going to be rolling around on my knee. That ain't what I signed up for. And I'm not going to bleed unless I have to. If that's part of the act, then I'll do it. Ketchup packs, you know, or red paint. Come on now, folks, hear me out. Oh, man. The thing is, what I'm trying to get at doing this interactive show tonight is that no one really can be forced to do anything. When it's aligned, you know what you can do. So let's say you do musical theater, right? We'll just say that. And you like to dance around, like you know how to tap dance, and there's a tap dance scene, but you don't know how to do the, like, say, jazz dance. Oh, you got an F. You don't know how to do that. That's it. That's the end of that. You're never going to be on a Broadway show. You can't jazz dance. Excuse me, jazz dance. There you go. All right, so it's as simple as spending $80,000, get an F, failed, and now I don't get the degree because I didn't know how to jazz dance. So then I could just go take a year and get jazz dance lessons if I really needed to. Come on, folks, are you hearing me out here? This is where the university level needs to understand. They have to be open to the creativity. There's too much control and forcefulness, and like everything is so stipulated, and don't get me wrong, some things need to be stipulated, okay? Like you have to know music theory if you're going to put notes on a page. Otherwise, it just sounds like garbage, right? I'm not going to lie. It doesn't flow right. But if you're not a composer, it probably wouldn't matter to you. You would only, I mean, think about this for a minute. This is how I explain music theory with someone that is probably doing music theater or whatever. Because the thing is unless they're going to actually write a song or something, like if they're in concentration of script writing and they want it to flow with composition, I could probably see where they have to know the flow of theory. But pretty much what I'm going to be stressing is rhythm, what different notes are, and probably, you know what I mean, like some formations of chords and whatnot, and go from there. Because they're going to look at a page and the first thing they're going to ask is, okay, I'm a soprano. And if you don't have experience, of course, I'm going to tell you what a soprano note is. And then you can play it along. That's why in music theater as well, we always say that you would get a primary in voice and secondary in piano unless you just wanted to play an instrument. Then it would be the piano. But if you're doing voice, you want to know piano too. Why? Because in your own time, you're going to have to be able to pluck up your notes so that you know what they are in the piece. So yeah, there are some things that are controllable, but you don't know how to jazz dance. You don't know how to jazz dance, so we're going to knock you out. And yet, let's see, 50% of it is, or say 70% of it is tap dance. Now, I'm the firm believer in the understanding of what we call an understudy. You know what I'm talking about. Film producers should know that too, right? Understudies have one or two options that usually happens. It doesn't stop the person from acting unless the actual actor within the act is actually some emergency happens or something like that and they show up. But then they also could be good if the understudy is looking like the person to the point that they can do the jazz dance, which is 20% of what the 80% the real person cannot do. So maybe some of us didn't realize that. I don't know. There you go. Gave you a nice idea to where it gives more people a chance. And to be honest, unless of course you're like Broadway, of course you would want experience. But if you're off Broadway or like a local theater or something like that, you know, your understudy should be really the most professional to really get it, right? While the other is doing what they need to do to make it through the act. So, I mean, those things are going to be up to the theater to determine how they would do that. But the point that I'm getting at is that you have to leave room for the person's creativity, because otherwise it comes off strange, especially if you're training. The article that I shared about an hour ago was an article on what to be careful about when you're doing the training. Now, SLMTA is a firm believer of this, and that is simply that this isn't cut out for everybody. So I may not even have the control of being able to satisfy every person, even though that I sound like I can do everything perfectly. Again, we'll all make mistakes, right? But you want to eliminate any costly mistakes. And that would have been a costly one. Especially the biggest problem that I have in that whole entire article is the manipulation, control, and abuse. And to be a little bit clearer, it's related to the specific person's body, everything about them. If it was something where like I didn't realize that there was where I was controlling them and they were like, I don't know. It's a different story if they're going to tell you, I don't know what you mean. Then I explain what I mean. But if it's to the point where it feels like they're being pushed, then I would have to tell them when you're ready, then you can come back. I'd rather not them be pushed. That's the only way to get out of that. So because you're going to get some that will literally sit there and think about this. I'm already seeing it before it even happens. So I know exactly what's going on here. You have those who are complaining about real legit things that are happening. And then you're going to have those that are going to, you know, pull your teeth like they're being abusive or whatever. You're just going to have to let them go. Let them go because you do not want to have a costly mistake, whether they're pretending or not. Now, what SLMTA does is we just scratch them off. In other words, you know, we tried one time. It's not going to change any different unless you actually were able to find someone else that was actually able to help you get over that other hurdle. But this isn't a self-confident thing. This is where people are actually coming to this, whatever, this drama center that it used to be. And, you know, they were being ran like a puppet, had no voice, had nothing. I like to have fun, even though it looks boring. I'm pretty sure some of you that are on my Facebook as well, you probably read that whole list of that syllabus and all that. Yeah, that's boring, right? Oh, really? I gotta read all that to know how your class is gonna be. Man, are you a dictator? No, not really, because even what how things are with Malik and I when I was training him, there's been weeks where we had no training, and then there's weeks that we have more than enough training. But we work with each other's schedule, and then we have fun doing it. That's the least that you want to do when you're in training, because the funness of the whole thing actually leaves you room for creativity. I don't like dictatorship. I like to facilitate. I cannot babysit. So there's that part of it too. I'll tell you, we'll have a discussion about what we have read, and then see if everybody's on the same page. Discuss the important point, see if there's questions, and then boom. That's usually how the class runs, to be honest. I'm not going to sit you in a chair, I promise you that, and answer questions that have nothing to do with acting. It's none of my business when you go to your next date, who you dated, when you're going to go to the date, how you're going to date them. Like, what did you eat during your date? Did you eat at all? What time do you eat? Do you go to the bathroom? Or do you need to go now? You know, I don't really care. I don't care. And if you got to go to the bathroom, go. I don't care. Just ask one of your classmates for the notes, you know. Oh man, oh man, oh man. But there are some of those that are dictated. No, I'm here. I got the lips. Now I would be beside myself. They would have been fine. If I was to work in that drama center, oh my goodness, it would be trauma. It would literally be trauma. Because I would be looking at those questions and I'd be like, I can't ask these stupid questions. What the heck is that? So then I'd have to improvise. And that's what I would do. I would turn around and pick a scene, and I would just say we're all sitting in a lunchroom and we were telling jokes, and we would just see who had the best joke. Then I would know who's the funniest one in the room. Well, maybe they could be a comedian. I mean, I, you know, I'm not going to sit on a chair and find out what your personal life is. If you wasn't going to give it to me in the bio or your resume, then you sure aren't going to give it to me by sitting in a chair. So, and for some of you, it might be very scary. I probably would not want to know. So, yes, as I begin to wind down, I'm only doing it because I got to get out of this. Um, I feel that a couple of things. The union needs to do more. Hello, Blake, how are you? The union needs to do more to know exactly what's going on with some of that. So the problem is a lot of this is happening with new faces who are going through training. And there will be folks that will put a special light on and look so glorious about what they're doing. But then you get to hear the horror stories when they walk out. And that's it, the thing doesn't close up before they do it. We're talking about a business for 57 years. Why? Because for 57 years, they were stuck in this control. And God finally put the people that were aligned to the destruction of force. In other words, there were people like me that said enough was enough. And that's what happened. I encourage everyone to be your own creative self. God gave you your gifts to do what you want to do and how they are done. And that there is nobody that can sit there and tell you how and what and how they should be done. You just simply do not fit that scene. If you're a comedian, then you probably can act in comedy shows because that's who you are. And all you got to do is lighten it up. I mean, there's a little bit more to it than that. I mean, when you're actually speaking and different things like that, there are different classes in acting that you would take. But the overall is that you would just simply be who you are, and that character development fits the phase for that scene. I don't, you can't even pretend to be an actor if you can't act, let alone pretend to smile when you always have angry resting face. Now there are businesses out there that are a little bit controlling too. I've been at a business where they would actually say, do not use your angry resting face. Well, I see it all the time, and I try not to control them, but I just forewarn them, be careful, you might want to smile. And even as they try to, it still doesn't look. I'd rather them just have the angry resting face. They look better that way. So sometimes it is what it is. Maybe you just need someone that looks angry and they are and they don't have a speaking role. Just someone with angry resting face, they could pull that one off like that. They'll look angry all the time. No, that doesn't even look angry. I can't even pull it off. Never. I'm not even trying it. You want me to laugh? I'll give you something to laugh about. Well, let me tell you, what I read today was not funny. So we have to know when to be serious. We have to know when to be funny. And we have to, and again, I can't stress it out anymore. I encourage everyone to be their own self. Because the way that I see it, it may not be yet, but I think it's coming. The way I see it is only your true self is going to get you where you want to be in the creative world. Because I see things, I don't know if it'll go all the way back to I Love Lucy times, but maybe with coloration, because we have everything else now. But even if that wasn't the case, I see a different trend coming, because film producers and what have you will start to see that people can be themselves and not have to sit there and have to pretend to be something that they're not, but is still able to act it out. Like, I'm a CEO. It doesn't take much for me to actually pretend to be a CEO when I am one. So if you're looking for a CEO and you want to pay somebody, as long as I know my script and what I'm supposed to do within your specific scene, then I'll be the CEO. I mean, there's going to be specific looks and all that. Like, it may not be the chubby man with the freckled face or whatever. I don't know, that laughs all the time. But it could be like the young guy with a bald spot in the middle of the head. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, you have to see if they could pull off what it really is. Like, for example, if I was a psychiatrist and somebody was looking for a male socialist or whatever, I can literally pull off being like a psychiatrist or whatever. Because besides having the credentials that I would be one, I am not one. I'm just saying, it's an example. They would have that. It's called extra skills. You want to put that information in there because that's the stuff that they are looking for. So yeah, you might be short, petite, and like a size 8 and all that, but can you do like 50 different languages? Oh, really? Well, we need you then. Or maybe they don't. I don't know. It depends. You might be the one that does 50 languages, but then you can't laugh for nothing. So then they have to look for somebody else that can laugh and speak 50 languages. And that's how it goes. In any case, I'm going to be back on um, tomorrow afternoon, and we're going to talk about character development. And then I will be back for SLMTA at night, which would be a 9 to midnight show tomorrow night. All right. That will be our interactive show. Tonight, I wanted it to do that because I saw this and I was like, oh, I need to bring this to the attention. And so I did. And I appreciate everyone that was able to watch it and those who will watch it later. This will be awesome. And yeah, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section, excuse me, down below. And I'll be glad to answer them in the next recording. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, SL Models and Talent Agency LLC. That's the gold icon with the red ring around it. Let's see if we can make it past 2,000 subscribers by the end of this week. That will be the goal. Let's see if we can do it. We're at 1.74, something like that right now. But share as well if you like the videos that I'm doing, because while they may be a little bit boring right now, the reality is that there is a lot of important information in here that is to help everyone within the industry. Some of you may not be in the entertainment industry, that's fine. But I also do not want to discourage anyone for not wanting to be in the entertainment industry just because of the bad that is in it. I believe that the garbage needs to be cleaned up, and then it needs to be where it was derived from. That's what I believe. So in other words, it doesn't have to be reinvented. It needs to go back to the actual invention. Because there are wrong people in the industry that are causing people to run around like puppets. And that's what this show was about tonight. You know, the importance of unionizing. What is going on with the industry? What's the title? Anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Have a blessed evening.